Well, it's Saturday, and when we look at Holy Week and we start with Palm Sunday and we start working our way through the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we find ourselves landing on today, on Saturday, we find the fewest words written about any of the days of the week. And I think the silence of the text on today speaks volumes. I think that there's a lot of power in what's not said, what couldn't even be brought to pen or paper, or the fact that on that day, on Saturday, I believe most of the people who had penned these words would have told you on Saturday there was nothing left to write. Saturday is an extraordinary day. Sunday, we see this unbelievable hope and this entrance into Jesus returning to Jerusalem. We even call it the triumphal entry. On Monday and Tuesday, he's brazen, Jesus, and you can almost assume his disciples are kind of like the yeah guys behind him, excited to see this and waiting for him to kind of throw the first punch, so to speak. Wednesday, they feel this shift, and Thursday, they see it and feel it and witness it come to a head. And they scatter, most of them, not all. But everything's kind of still in place. And then Friday. Friday, Jesus dies. Saturday is the one day where you have a full, complete, total day where Jesus lies dead. I can't really fully articulate for them what that would feel like, but I imagine all of us can somewhat put ourselves in just a small space of the headspace they resided in on that Saturday. These were people, men and women, who had given up everything to follow Jesus. They were all in. They had given up their homes. They had given up their jobs. They had given up their families. They had given up everything and everyone they had known. Peter, in that one conversation Peter has with Jesus, and Jesus says, "You gonna leave too?" And Peter says, "Where on earth would we go?" Like there's nothing for them to go back to because they've given up everything. And Peter says at that point, "I'll follow you anywhere. I've got nothing to go back to. I've got nowhere to go." They had gone in, all in. This was it, and they knew it. They knew it with every fiber of their being. They knew it so much that they were arguing even perhaps the night before about, when Jesus came to power and when he threw that, first punch, and when the armies arrived and Rome was overthrown, and when all this occurred, who was going to be most important? Who was going to be the general, so to speak? Who was going to be the vice president? They knew that they had it right. They knew that Jesus was the guy. And then Jesus died. And you have to have an appreciation for the complete and total hopelessness that they must have felt. I really don't. I really don't believe, and this is a belief, but I really genuinely do not believe that any of them at that moment, on Saturday, I do not believe any of them expected Jesus to show back up. I believe these were men and women who were decimated in the absolute throes of despair. everything that they believed in, everything that they had sacrificed for, now seemed to have disappeared. It ringing in their ears had to be the taunts and the jeers that they had heard over the last 3 years. Ringing in their ears had to be the words that they had heard from probably friends, probably family members, probably loved ones, definitely the crowds, definitely the other Jewish lawmakers and the Pharisees, the Sadducees, all of them, the high priests, all of those taunts that they had heard over the last 3 years about Jesus just being another failed Messiah, Jesus just being the newest fraud, Jesus just being the next radical failure. And I believe that in their time of isolation, I believe they would have largely believed those words. I believe Saturday would have been spent in true despair. Judas has killed himself. Judas in despair went and hung himself, and he is dead. Peter has left. The disciples are hiding. Everyone is scattered. They're behind locked doors, hiding out, barricaded in place, having no idea what to do or where to go. Total devastation. That's what Saturday is all about. Saturday is a time of hopelessness and despair. It really is. It's a time where they thought that everything they had known with their very being, everything they had known about Jesus, they feared was wrong. I think that they were probably speechless. I'd say it was nearly silent. Everyone just in a place of fear of how did we get at this wrong? How did we get at this wrong? We watched him do these things. We watched him perform miracles. We watched him heal. We watched him with power and authority. How could this be wrong? How could God, how could the Son of Man that was prophesied that he was, how could the Son of Man die, though? And that's Saturday. It's bleak, and it's dark, and it's terrified, and it's fearful, and it's depressing, and it's full of isolation and anxiety and doubt. Doubt in everything and everyone. Thomas, we may have dubbed Doubting Thomas, but I assure you on Saturday, he was in good company. So how do we go from Friday, Jesus dying, if Saturday is left, if Saturday is what we're left with, if this isolation of Saturday and this total despair of Saturday is what history is left with, then I assure you Friday would never be dubbed Good Friday. And yet the day that Jesus died, we can call Good Friday. Not because of what happened on Christmas. Not because of what happened when he called 12 people. Not because of what happened in any miracles or healings or calming the sea. Not because he died. There were lots of revolutionaries crucified on Roman crosses. Not because he had claimed to be the Messiah. There were lots of Messiahs who died and were never thought of again. And not because of Saturday, but because of tomorrow morning. Because of what the women saw at the tomb and brought to the world. Sunday is